Now, my colleague and co-programmer, Ozge Califato.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming today. And I'm very honored to moderate the Q&A. We have two filmmakers from two films, as Nate mentioned earlier, Jim Savio and Mansour Al-Fili from Tabib, and Zahra Al-Mahdi from Birdwatch Health. I would like to invite them. It's hard for me to see under the spotlight. Please welcome Zahra, Jim, and Mansour. Hi. I'm very, very excited to have you all here and watching the films again. Thank you so much for the incredible work that you've done. And I think there are a lot of parallels between your trajectories coming from literature and producing film. I would like to start with Tabib, and I would like to ask you a little more about the adaptation of the poem into the film and how the idea came about, and ask Mr. Mansour about how you got involved in the film and how you worked together.
Well, I ran across this poem. It's a little bit of a story. It involved a rejection, actually. I had submitted a story to a fiction journal, and a couple of months later I got a polite rejection letter in the mail, but I got a year's subscription to the journal. And in the first edition that I received, I ran across this prose poem by a poet named Morton Marcus. And it was just, the story just really struck me. It was one page. It was a perfect story. It had a complete arc. And I just always imagined that I would love to sort of adapt this into a film. And after being here for a while, I applied for a grant, another rejection. I didn't receive it. But the following year, I applied again, and I did receive the grant. And decided that I was going to be leaving here soon, and I wanted to leave something behind, because my experience here in Abu Dhabi was something I'll never forget for the rest of my life. And I wanted to involve the community. I wanted to involve professional and non-professional actors. I wanted it to be a real cosmopolitan crew, because that's what this city is. And a friend, I was looking around for somebody to play Dr. Ibrahim, and somebody showed me a photograph of Mansour. That's where it started. And I just felt like this is the guy. I'd at least like to meet him. So I sent him the script, and we met in Dubai, and that's where it started.
So, what did you think when you first talked to Jim and you saw the script?
When we met first time, Ahmed, he was there. Mr. Ahmed is the producer of the movie. And I think Mohammed Al-Bakri is the one showing you my photo.
Yeah, Mohammed Al-Bakri.
Mohammed Al-Bakri, yeah. And they talked to me because Ahmed, I had a project before this movie with Ahmed as a producer also. And he arranged the meeting, and we met in Dubai in some coffee shop, and Jim told me the idea exactly, and I really liked the idea. You know, I like to always do different movies, or strange movies, let's say, strange ideas, So it's okay, send me the script. When I read the script, I can say I was already in love with the script, to be honest, because the character, I really liked so much the character. And that's it, we did it at last. It was really nice and very good team we worked with them.
Okay, so we will come back to the details as to how you work together and the incredible crew, because being part of the NYUAD community, there are a lot of familiar faces in the film. And Zahra, I would like to ask you kind of the same question as to how the idea came about. And this is a series, I think this is episode 2.
Yes, this is episode 2 of the series Birdwatch.
And Zahra will have an artist talk at 4 p.m. So we would love all of you to come and listen to more about Zahra's work, and she will show episode 3.
3, yeah. So my work is mainly fiction, and with this I turned it into a mockumentary format to comment on how really there's really no such thing as nonfiction. I love documentaries, I love history books, but it always depends on how you frame things, how you edit things, and how you what you decide to say and what you decide to emit. So what I decided to do is create a documentary from the perspective of people that don't usually document, that are not responsible for writing history, that are not responsible for creating documentaries. So the first episode is a meta documentary. So it's me talking about how I would like to create a documentary that is, for instance, what would birds say about us human beings if they had to describe us, our behavior? And it's called Birdwatch, as in the act of birds watching back, not birds watching. The second one, the one you saw, is what would children say about health if they could just say it out of observation and not out of instruction? So we really don't know. I mean, who knows if milk is good for us? That's just for starters. And if we were to observe adults and what they did to be healthy, then we're all done for. So yeah, that's pretty much where it started.
I think it was amazing knowing the issue of diabetes, how big it is in the region, and how she says, yeah, you have to get diabetes when you grow up, and it's so relevant.
It's so normalized, and it's so attached to the idea of just growing old. Our grandmothers have pressure issues, blood pressure, diabetes, and now like cancer is a thing now. It's just normal, and it shouldn't be. It really shouldn't be. It's an illness. So I thought I should bring that up.
Well, I would like to open the floor to questions. I'm sure there are. Yes.
This is for Jim. How did you manage to clear the streets, like when you were shooting the film?
With the help of this guy right here in the front row. It took a while to get the permission to do that, but it was something that we needed to do. It's not really safe to do car scenes and even bicycle scenes on the street when there's traffic. So we had 5 separate street closings, different neighborhoods. Most of these were shot down in the Madinat Zayed neighborhood. Yeah. You have to ask permission. You got to have cops around.
You have to have Ahmed.
You have another one?
Like how long did the whole process take from like the pre to post-production? And like how long did it take to shoot? I mean, like, can I ask the question? Or should I ask the question again? Or okay. So like how long did the whole process take to make the film? Like from its pre to post-production, how long did it take to actually shoot the film in between?
The pre-production, I mean the serious pre-production work took place between September and right around the beginning of January of 2017. And we started shooting around the 7th of January, I think. And it was 12 days of shooting. and there were 2 days off, but there were actually 12 days of shooting. And those were long days, 12-hour day minimal. And then the post-production took place after that, and we really finished everything up in October. So I would say that it was like probably 13, 14 months of work to have a finished movie.
Yes.
Yeah, question for Jim and Mansour. How much did you know about the structure of the film going into production? Because, a lot of it is about flashbacks and, it escalates towards the end. I was wondering how much of that was discovered in the editing process versus something that you had in mind at the end, early on.
I think the overall concept was there, but you always you write the movie like 3 or 4 times actually. You conceive of a script and then you write the script, and then when you're shooting it, that's the third story that's taking place, and things are happening spontaneously at that time, and you see things for the first time that you were not able to see in the script writing. But you have to be willing to sort of change and go with it if you see something happening that you didn't expect or didn't plan on. That happened quite a bit, actually. All of the terrace scenes were planned for a completely different location. And once we were on this one location, we realized that the terrace scenes would have been much better there. And then, of course, in the editing process, you're also telling the story, again, 2 or 3 times. So yeah, it's an incredibly collaborative process. Also, I really had no idea. I actually, afterwards, as amazing as it was, it felt really good to sit in a room all by myself and write. But it was really interesting working with such a diverse group of people, also with all different types of skill levels that I don't have, and I had to rely on them. And I'll let Mansour say a little bit now as well.
Okay, as I know, Jim, he took a long time to write this script. I think 4 or 5 years ago. The script you wrote it before, long time.
Not really. The script was like maybe 6 months before we actually went into pre-production. Yeah. But the idea was kicking around for 20 years.
Wow. Okay. Anyway, as he said, when you are writing the script, it's different, and you have to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drafts, keep on changing the script. Each time you see something, it might change your idea. And once you reach the location or once you saw the actors, also there is many things that might change your idea at the same moment in the location where you are shooting. Many things can be changed, and it's happening. Is very normal for us. We know that's happening in many movies, many TV series. Also, we are doing these things. Even in the theater, also this thing can be changed. Anything in any moment for better, sure. And about the editing, also, Jim, he was the one doing this editing with the editor there. Also in the editing, because you are taking always, when you are shooting, you're taking different shots, different angles, different, with the lights, with the things around you. So, sure, you are changing there. As he says, different story, maybe different movies there, it's taking the words, everything is totally different. But, it's after all, it's a process that you have to go through, and at last you bring piece of art for the people. That's it. Thank you.
Any other questions? Yeah, Joanne.
Mansour has done so much film work, I know. And I was just wondering, what scene in this film, was there a scene in particular that was difficult, more difficult for you to perform or to go through? Was there one scene in particular that really, you remember as being just difficult, emotionally or physically, or?
think the one which did in the when he was trying to suicide, you know, I think that was the most difficult part. I think, you know, even for Jim as a director, I think I felt that that was the most difficult for both of us. You know, yeah, that's it.
I had a question actually for Birdwatch. Why did you? I noticed that the young girl, the narrator in the story, was faceless. Was that intentionally, or she didn't have, like, she was, you know?
Yeah.
Was she to be the every kind of young girl, or?
I wasn't, and I intended it for it to be mouthless. But most of the characters that I consider to be a little bit more marginal in every series are animated. So she's actually there, but I add animation on live action, and I have that in every episode. And I thought it would look very weird in a cool way. So that was,
Right, yeah,
that was
I like that.
basically the whole thing. It just looks cool.
It does look cool.
They give her a universal sort of feel too.
And another thing is that it's actually a voiceover. I mean, she doesn't speak Arabic very well, so it was just her imitating my movements and then imitating words that I was saying later on. So I had to do a bit Foley, and it helped that she didn't have a mouth.
Yeah.
I just have a follow-up question with that one. I was really intrigued with the getting perspectives that aren't typical perspectives as the approach into it. And I was wondering, with the film that we saw, the Birdwatch, did you interview young children and then kind of composite the text that you had them read, or how did you go about doing it? And then the second question is, with the film that we didn't see, the first one, how did you visualize how the birds see humans? I'm really curious.
What we stand underneath the rain. Do other animals do that? I mean, when other animals see us standing underneath the rain, they must think we're insane. I always thought of that as, and I bet we do a lot of things that make us look insane. Like we live in boxes, and then we get into other boxes that have wheels to go to our work boxes, and then it's the way we treat each other is also very peculiar. I mean, the way we express aggression, the way we express love, it must seem very peculiar to other creatures, or to even, like, if we consider the way we analyze previous civilizations that we can't really get reference to, the way we analyze the pharaohs, they seem like aliens to us. Like, a lot of people can't understand the way they worked, even though they're most probably humans. Like, that's what we're guessing so far. But I just thought it would be interesting, and I like to up the ante on the silly. And some of the things that she said are things that I've heard from children over the years. I never actually conducted interviews, but I packaged it in a way that would look as absurd as possible.
Another question.
The way you did the body gestures at first, that seemed so natural when she was, you know.
Oh, she's very theatrical. Like I picked a person who's she's really into this kind of. And some of her answers were actually very interesting. Like she actually does want to be a doctor, but to make a lot of money. Like she was doing this, and I thought, okay, I'm going to use that somewhere else. But thank you. So yeah.
I was wondering who pay for the expenses. Do you have sponsors? It must have cost some money. Not what we pay is not enough. Well, both of you, actually, both of you.
Our project was funded through grant and research funds.
It's pretty much a home project, really. I did the animation, and I have a few friends that are sound engineers and editors that helped out. So.
Hi. This question is about Tabib. In the credits, I saw that a bunch of the crew members were students, and I'm wondering how much of the actual crew on site was students, and how is it different working with students as opposed to experienced professionals?
That's a good question, Gabor. From the beginning, I wanted students to be involved in this project, and so all the students that worked directly on the crew every day for 12 days, and they committed to that. Some of them had to give up J-term classes, which meant that they would have to take those classes as seniors. And they each worked with a different professional crew member, so that crew member was like their mentor for the 12 days. So any questions that they had, anything that they wanted to know about what they were doing, that was part of the deal for the crew member, is that this student would be a member of the crew. And really, it would have been very difficult to do this film without the students that were involved in this. So there were 6 students that signed on to that and committed to that, and they were up every morning at 4:30, 5 o'clock, and ready to get in the car and go out to the set. And they brought a lot to the production. They really did. They learned a lot, I think, and they also they offered good suggestions at times, and it was really terrific working with them. And they have a nice little film on their CV now.
We have time for one more question, and we will start. Yeah, Alex.
I was just wondering if you could talk about what's next. Each of you, what are you doing now, or what are the upcoming projects?
I have a lot going on, but the next one is I'm a co-recipient of an art residency in Malta, part of the Blitz art residency. So that's what I'm doing.
I am, well, in terms of film, I just shot a film last week, actually, a short. Very short. It'll probably finish out at about 3 minutes. Also based on a poem by the same poet, actually, again, Morton Marcus. It was a poem called Forgiveness. Very short film, 2 characters. And in the process of doing this, I'm working with Omar Shukri on this, and Francesca Pizzari, and another colleague in the physics department. And after shooting it, we decided that we actually want to turn it into more of a series that will either continue to be based on the idea of forgiveness, and sort of looking at it, and this looks at forgiveness in quite an unusual way, and we'll continue to do that. Or we'll identify virtues and make a series of 12 short films based on a virtue. And not necessarily all shot here either.
Okay, about myself as an actor, I have next month in US, I have my movie, which is on borrowed time. It's a feature movie, Shabab Shiab. It's going to be in 4 film festivals in USA. Plus also Tabib. It's also on one of the film festivals in New Hampshire next month in April. I wish I'll finish my shooting. As you see, I'm not shaving nothing because I'm shooting some TV series which talks about UAE 400 years ago. So I cannot shave, I cannot change, I have to look very ugly as I am. So I wish I'll finish end of the month and I could fly to US to go to these film festivals. And there's many scripts, sure, I'm reading about some feature movies and this, as maybe you noticed that now in UAE last 2 years, there's many of these feature movies coming cinemas. So there is also many scripts I'm reading. I hope, inshallah, things will go well.
Well, thank you so much. And we will follow your itinerary and hope to have you back next year, maybe, with more work, new work. And thank you for all coming.
Also, I just wanted, there's a few actors that are in the audience that were in the film that I just want to give a shout out to them. I think for some of them it's the first time that they've seen it, so thank you all.
Thank you.